Well, we're a minute or so after here, so we probably should go ahead and get started, and then just as people join, they can just catch up with us. So, Patty, did we figure out your microphone? Looks like maybe no.
Okay, so they say we're set. Oh, Patty doesn't have a microphone on her computer. Okay. All right, well, we're going to get started. Just want to say, first of all, welcome everyone, and thank you to Patty and Mary and everyone with the Homebuilders and Remodelers of Central New York for setting this up for us today. We're excited to be here, and would somebody take a minute and tell us in the chat, it looks like they're saying construction isn't essential in New York, but are you all able to build anything? Is it just affordable housing? So let us know that while I jump into introductions. So there's two of us with you today, Kimberly Mackey. She is the founder and sales and marketing management consultant with New Homes Solutions Consulting. She's a consultant, speaker, and trainer. She is also the vice chair of the National Sales and Marketing Council and a past president of the Florida Sales and Marketing Council, chair of the NHB Associates Leadership and Recognition Committee, and she's on the Florida HBA Board of Directors. So she is very, very involved in NHB and her local HBA and state. I'm Carol Morgan, and I am founder of and president of Denim Marketing. We are a woman-owned agency specializing in strategic marketing, media relations, blogging, social media, promotions, advertising, and much more. I am past chair of the National Association of Home Builders, Professional Women in Building, and membership committees, and I'm currently the second vice chair of associates. So we are super excited to be with you guys today and hope that we can kind of lead some insight into what's going on around the country and what we see happening and what you can do to maintain and your business and be ready as we come out of this. So obviously, you know, we're in uncharted waters. It continues to be uncharted. Not only are they uncharted, but apparently I live in the wild, wild west now. Kimberly keeps teasing me because I'm in Georgia. So if you're reading the national news, our governor has decided to open the state of Georgia. And clearly I need a haircut. This is the longest it's ever been. If any of you all who know me know that's true. It needs to be, you know, inches shorter. But we can get haircuts and tattoos and bowl as of this weekend in Georgia. So there's
seems very essential to me.
Yes,
it
bowling
really does.
And tattoos are very essential apparently. So we're going to see what happens, I guess, as we open Georgia. I know a lot of us are very nervous, but I actually just took a few minutes to listen to a video podcast with our local hospital director, who's actually a really good friend of mine. We were in Leadership Bartow together until all of this broke out, and we had to cancel Leadership Bartow for the rest of the year. But he was talking about the hospital and how at one point they had 30 in-house patients diagnosed with COVID and another 30 waiting on testing. And as of today, they have 6 patients in-house that they are treating for COVID, and I think 3 awaiting testing. So he feels like we've really flattened the curve and kind of worked through it here in Bartow, where we had quite the outbreak. So with that, I'll turn it over to Kimberly for some insight on these uncharted waters.
So, and you guys, please type in the chat. Let us know what's going on in your markets. Let us know what specifically is happening for you. I'm not sure if you have the ability to sell as long as you do it virtually, or if sales have in essence been shut down completely. And you know, does that differ from what you can actually start? It seems like you can't start any new projects, is what I'm from what I'm understanding, but that you could maybe finish as long as you were following the COVID guidelines. So again, somebody type in the chat and let us know what's happening. What we are finding, though, as we're talking to people around the country, is that it is a different level every day, and your sales teams are, you know, out there on an island. And right now, it's even more important than ever to completely engage your sales teams and have them doing their realtor outreach. Even if you can't start something, you can still sell it and get people moving forward in the process. So we know that, you know, even those people who are the salespeople who are continuing to sell through this tend to be those who are nurturers, those who are working their pipeline of prospects. And those tend to be, you know, where those sales are coming from. We are seeing a lot of quick move-in sales. Last week, I even ended up with 2 bidding wars here on local inventory that was for builders. So that was really interesting to see that, you know, we had people, there are people who do need to move, and they still need to move quickly. And demand, you know, of course, with real estate shut down most places, even if it was deemed essential, the National Association of Realtors has said that they are down about 50-something%. I think it was 56% on inventory because of sellers temporarily pulling off the market or completely pulling off of the market for the used home inventory. So in some places that can be great for us as builders where we do have inventory on the ground, but it does still make it a little tough to on your to-be builds unless you get creative about it. And that's what we're going to talk about. So really the key is focus on what you can do. I think for your own mental health and your own sanity, just focus on what you can do. And that does make a world of difference in how we're moving forward. So correct, so I'm seeing correct, they can finish a job, right? But you can't start one. Is that what I'm seeing here? So Carol, let's move forward and hopefully we'll get some clarification through the chat here.
Yeah, well, the first part was affordable housing and some commercial only, and they can finish a job and sales can happen. So that's good. So they can sell.
Okay. All right.
So that's good. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about what we can be doing behind the scenes to make our marketing more effective. I think the biggest thing is preparation. You know, prepare. At this point, you know, having everything ready and written for what you're going to do and what your plans are for sales as we start to come out of this. You know, right now, I think everyone in our industry and probably everyone in America has a COVID message on their website talking about how they're doing business and what has changed. So think about what happens next. What is the next step? You know, what will that message say? So go ahead and get all of that ready so that as we come out of this and we start to open America again, you're ready to sell and you know what those plans are. The other thing that this time is really good for, if you have some downtime and you aren't running around crazy, is audits. So audit your website, your social media, you know, your content, and then your brand. And that's really the core of your business. So once you have those in place, you'll really be ready to move forward when we're able to go gung-ho and have our spring market in the summer, or I think it's when it's probably going to happen, I hope, for most of us. But looking at those self-audits and having all of that ready to go. Kimberly has some ideas on how you can work grassroots with your agents.
So right now, again, your agents are probably at home. We should still have them working though, and they should still have activities that they are doing. Your realtors, your outside general realtors, when I reference realtors, I'm always talking about from the outside, and I call those who work for us and sell new homes our on-site agents. So we should be reaching out to them daily. You should be having a powwow with them, and there should be criteria for things that they need to accomplish throughout the day. Of course, their day is not going to be as full as it would be if they were sitting in our model centers and they were having walk-in traffic and going out and doing realtor presentations and all of that, but they can still do things. So they should, if they can get on site at all and they can do virtual tours, they should be doing those just by themselves. If they can't, then we need to work with marketing to string together some virtual tours so that they can use those to reach out to both outside realtors as well as their pipeline. And they need to be cleaning up the database. Right now is a fabulous time to go back in your CRM, touch every person with a phone call and a text message, no e-blasting. So you can send your COVID messages out through e-blast, but you know, really your sales team should be that one-on-one contact. That's really critical right now. And the script that they would use is just call people and say, hey, I was just thinking about you and I just wanted to touch base. How are you doing? We need to start by being very human in this process. And then lead into, if we're able to engage in a conversation, lead into the ability, ask them to dream about once this is over. what are their plans once this is over? You know, are they still dreaming of building that new home? And help people to engage in that, it's almost fantasy, but at least they're using their imagination so that they can see hope at the end of this. And if people are willing to engage, well, then there are things that we could do. We could offer a peace of mind contingency so that should they lose their job, or we could go ahead and start part of the process, anything that we can still do virtually. So again, have an expectation for your sales team to reach out to at least 25, maybe 50 people during the day, and get a report that is either in your CRM because they're taking their notes in there, or if not, just even a manual, a simple report, just to give a synopsis of who they've touched and what was the outcome, and is this someone who is still interested once life returns to whatever normal looks like after we get out of this. Carol?
Well, let's talk a little bit about how much marketing we should be doing and what works right now. I think the biggest thing you can be doing is remarketing. Look at your emails, look at your CRMs, look at what people have opened and what they're interested in, and then follow up with them on that. You know, this is an area we don't usually have a ton of time to dig into, especially as it relates to email and remarketing people based on what they clicked on and where they spent time. But right now, if your sales staff has a little bit of extra time, it's a fantastic way to keep them interested and keep them moving forward. The other places that you can do remarketing are on Google pay-per-click and Facebook. Well, and not Instagram, LinkedIn as well. So Google, Facebook, and LinkedIn have things they call a pixel, or in the case of LinkedIn, they call it a tag, that your website developer can add to your site, and then it tracks everyone who's been to your website, so that you can remarket to them on Facebook or Google Ads. So, you know, when you get remarketed to by all these companies, a lot of times it's because you've been shopping for them on their website, or shopping, you know, maybe a competitor, and you're getting remarketed because of what you've typed into Google and other places. Then anything you can do to make it personal. I think Kimberly did a good job of talking about how sales agents should be reaching out one-on-one. You know, we all want to work with somebody we like, and we buy from people we like. So establishing those relationships and making it personal will really help. Virtual everything. Obviously, everyone's gone virtual for the sales process. You know, we're all talking about you know, tour our homes virtually, you know, set up an appointment with us virtually. The other thing that's very popular right now is video, and With Me and With You videos are trending on YouTube, as well as places like Twitter. So anything you can do, you know, gardening with me, wine tasting with me, you know, anything along those lines, any of that content is trending and doing very well. Keep in mind your multilingual audience. So all these messages should be in all the different languages of the people that you're relating to and selling to. So if you've got you know, Hispanic clients, make sure you're translating things into Spanish. Revisit your social advertising. Now is not the time to stop advertising. I think that's the biggest question I get is, you know, how much should I cut my budget? And I wouldn't recommend that you cut your budget at all. It's a great way to stay on top of things and in front of people. In fact, you might even get more views than you did in the past, because all the travel agencies and all the cruise companies and everything dealing with, you know, restaurants and hospitality, they have all cut their budgets completely. So all of our messages are being seen more. So revisit that social advertising. You can spend a teeny bit of money there and get great results. And then the other thing you may want to consider right now is running banner ads on traditional media sites. So like your daily paper, or you know, maybe it's your cable company, but all of those local resources are getting huge hits right now on their websites. So think about adding some banners or graphics there. And then also public relations is working really well right now. Obviously, the media are looking for COVID-related stories, and those are what they're running the most of, but they're also running stories related to corporate responsibility. So if you're doing something really cool, making a donation, you know, make sure you're putting that out there in a press release. And then, you know, of course, there's social media. So we're going to take a little bit of a deeper dive into social and what social messaging works best. You know, obviously, at this point, we all have a statement on our social media pages that's very transparent, telling whether we're open or closed and what our hours of business are. making sure we're talking about virtual shopping, visit our website versus visiting us online. It was kind of funny. I think our industry moved pretty fast as it relates to that because we were so focused on people coming on site. I laughed at some of the emails I get from places like White House Black Market. It took them about 3 weeks to change their messaging. I mean, all their messaging was just, kind of, it was sales related and new popular things. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, this is all really pretty, but where am I going to wear it? I'm not going anywhere. So it took them a while to catch up. I think that's something we did very well. As far as social, what's resonating well right now is anything you can show progress shots of. So a happy closing shot, sold signs, any buyer testimonials that shows that they're continuing to buy and shop. Focusing on low interest rates. They are clearly low, low, low. And anything creative. We've seen some fantastic creativity out there. Lots of bingo games. We've seen, I think it's Flynn Built that did a really cute bingo game. And then I've seen, actually, I think the BDX did one that's up on their sites now. I've seen people rename the different bedrooms and areas of the house. All sorts of different things. We have a client that's going to do a virtual home tour of all their model tours and post it to YouTube and their website and Facebook and everywhere they can post those video tours and let people tour their homes as those models open up. So there's lots and lots you can do. Kimberly, do you have any other additional ideas on this one or want to move to the next slide?
Yeah, I got one yesterday that I absolutely loved. So one of the local, and again, I'm in Florida. And in Florida, we are considered an essential business, so we actually can still remain open, but we have to only one buying party in the model at any given time. So we can still do some face-to-face, and our salespeople are still allowed on site, but with restrictions. So, that's a little different story than what you guys are in, but start thinking about some of these things because some of these ideas are just fantastic. The email I got yesterday is one of our local builders here is going to do a virtual bus tour. So when I do bus tours with a large group of realtors here at least once a year, and they're always extremely popular. So we always have, hit up the models, everybody gets to tour them, the realtors have a great time with them. We used to, back in the day, the sales and marketing used to have a thing we called the SAM tram, the sales and marketing bus, where we would get all the realtors together. Well, this company is going to do a virtual bus tour. So it's going to be a back to back to back. They're basically going to pass the bus, if you will, with all of their different sites that they have and do a virtual tour live on Facebook. So it's going to be really cool. They're going to just keep changing it out. So they've sent out a ton of invitations. They're e-blasting, they're reaching out, they're doing phone calls to get people to come to this. It's really kind of cool. So I think if anything is an industry, we've learned that just putting pictures of houses up on our social media is a snooze fest, and that we should not do that, and that we can be more creative. And we shouldn't lose that messaging going forward. So even though you may feel like you're dead in the water right now, this is the time to start learning how to do some of these things and start practicing doing what you can do. If you can't do a live virtual tour, you've got pictures and all of that. You can make a video out of that with a salesperson talking over the top of it. So use technology and get your sales team engaged in this. Trust me, right now, they're like deer in the headlights. Last week, I spent the entire week basically kicking agents in the pants virtually to get them back, to get them re-engaged. And once we did, it was like a light bulb went off, and you could see the energy level of these teams really starting to come up once they feel like, oh, wait, yes, there are things that I can do instead of sitting around doing the, oh, woe is me. And social media is where they can support your marketing efforts. So have them be creative. I mean, they can do a victory. I don't know if you mentioned the Victory Garden. I know we've talked about those before, but I have an Italian builder who he was putting out an Italian garden for his kids, and they were all doing it together. I'm like, where's the camera on this? Let's go ahead and get this out. So I know now they're actually working on a couple of pieces that they're getting out, and they're going to send to me today. So, even if you can't be there, You can be doing things that relate to the home, that relate to family, that relate to safety, any of those things, and sharing that content so you can get that interaction on your social media and engage people to let them know you're still here. The thing to remember is what you don't do today will not get you results tomorrow. So, you know, we need to continue to remember it's not always going to be this way. And in order to come out of this strong, we've got to engage and do this stuff right now. So one of the things that we do need to do right now as well is to talk about your CRM messaging. And so if you use automatic drip responses or auto responders from your website, if you have a customer resource management system, which everyone should have, regardless of your size. So if you're a small remodeler or you're a big builder, everybody should have a customer resource manager. And that is where you will track, you'll have a database of all your customers, you track all of your engagement. It should remind you of follow-up activities, and it should also have an automatic drip, an automatic email that goes out, and it probably it should have multiple layers of this. So for really hot prospects, it's going to be one system that's going to send out at a staggered interval, maybe every week. For 8 weeks, that prospect is going to get something. For your buyers who are a little further out, well, maybe it's going to be staggered a little more. It'll start out once every 2 weeks and then stagger and go out to 3 months. Before then, they just start getting your newsletter or whatever it is you're sending. So as Carol said, you know, it took White House Black Market a while. I noticed a lot of TV ads and a lot of the e-blasts that I was getting. It did take people a while to change. So don't forget those auto drips and auto responder messages, and make sure that they are appropriate now. And also it's a good time to look at them so you have a plan for as you come out of it. So go ahead and create auto response messages that are, hey, here's what's happening now that we can reopen our model centers, or now that our salespeople can come out, or hey, construction was just deemed essential. I mean, imagine what those scenarios are going to be, and go ahead and write some messages for those, and you can always tweak them before you take them live. But just don't forget, and if you've got things that are going out on automatic, make sure that you're looking at those and that they are not sending the wrong message, because that's something that we continue to see a lot. I know a builder just contacted me to have me write messaging, and they didn't want me to write COVID messaging. And I'm like, okay, well, I can write that for you for normal times, but you can't send it yet. So please do not send these messages out yet. And they're like, wait, why? And we had to really talk through it. And now they get it and they understand, you know, what they need to do with it. So we did end up tweaking it and do some in the interim. So we have some COVID messages coming through. So your CRM, pay careful attention to that. If you don't have one, get one. There are actually free ones out there. Zoho is a free CRM. So it isn't set up specifically for our industry. And sometimes just because something's free doesn't mean that it helps you a whole lot. Two that are fantastic for our industry, Lasso CRM. I'm always a fan of Lasso. They do a fantastic job. They are specific for our industry. And I also work with a company called MXTR. And MXTR is a sharp spring overlay. And they give you a person. So for you, part of what you're paying for is this person to set it up for you and to run, help you with your messaging, help make sure that it's running correctly. And they have an overlay that I wrote for them that is specific for this industry. So those are two that you could check out. Depending on your size, chatbots might be an interesting feature. I know MXTR actually has chatbots included. We also, Atlas RTX is a great one that's specific for our industry. There aren't a whole lot specific for the industry. And then Enter Now, once you get into a place where you can show homes or where people can go in, that's a great company. I love this because it's not a lockbox. It's actually a coded door app, and people have to check in. Carol lost her power. So people have to check in to and be pre-screened before they enter the home, but they can view the home on their own. The company then gets an alert that someone is in there, who they are, what their story is, and it's a one-time code. So if you are using those coded lock boxes, those are not COVID friendly. You don't know who's been in that home. You don't know what they've touched. I would say get rid of those now. I'm never a big fan of those because there's no way you can know who's in that home at any given time. And if you use the Supra lock boxes, of course, then it's only realtors. So the realtors have to accompany them. With Enter Now, they don't have to have a realtor. It's great if they do. It works for realtors too. So it doesn't exclude realtors, but it's a phenomenal way for you to know. And then you have that information to be able to follow up with that person. So again, it's a great tool. We've already talked a little bit about video emails and social messaging. If you have BombBomb is a great tool for video emails. And you can actually use video texting. We know that people respond to text much better than they do their emails. Only about 15 to 20% of emails actually get read. But if yours is a video, and it's much more likely to be opened. People like to engage with those videos. And if you don't have a fancy system, one of the things that you can do is you can go into Outlook. You can take a snapshot of the video itself. So just, a thumbnail of it. You can use a snippet tool, or you can do a screen capture, whatever, edit it down so it looks like it's the video, and make sure your face isn't going, because that's never attractive. And then you can embed a hyperlink into your YouTube channel or your Vimeo, or wherever or your website, wherever you have that living. And then people can click on that. So there are lower tech ways without having to go out and buy new products to do that. That's something I work with salespeople. You wouldn't believe, a lot of my day is spent, especially right now, teaching IT and teaching technology to salespeople and some of the things that they can do. And I have to say they're a lot more responsive to it right now, because you can't just rely on the traffic coming through the door. So, and again, nurturing leads and customers for the long term through this process. The salespeople who are succeeding right now are those who are nurturers. They are the ones who are going back and touching those leads that came in 3, 4, 5, 6 months ago. They're not giving up on them. We know that you need to touch a lead 5, 6, 7, 8 times, depending on whether it's a downsizer or if it is somebody who has to move because of relocation. So we know that up to those amount of times, those are the salespeople who are succeeding right now, because they do know how to follow up and touch base, and their prospects expect to hear from them. Those people who just relied on that hot lead coming through the door right now, those are the ones who are really, really struggling. So do keep that in mind. Give your sales team the support tools that they need. I know one of the things that I've started doing is like a 10-minute sales meeting to give people the tools so that they can get excited and pumped up and then go out and take action on it. Because for salespeople, sitting and doing nothing is the worst, is absolutely the worst. So Carol talked a little bit about social responsibility, and this is a challenge. Carol, you want to tell a little bit more about this?
Yeah, absolutely. So, we've got at least 2 generations out in the marketplace who believe that corporations should give back. So this is a fantastic opportunity for us as an industry to show what we're doing. And I guess I can give a couple of different examples. Homemade Atlanta usually has an essentials drive where they collect diapers and wipes and things for homeless mothers. And this year they've moved that drive online, and the businesses are still rallying for the cause and going online and buying things for individual shelters, and those items are getting shipped directly to the shelters. So that's a great way to participate in something like this. And then we had a client who has fantastic connections in China and was able to order 10,500 medical masks and get those delivered here in Atlanta, and then they delivered them to 2 different hospitals. And we garnered 5 out of 6 TV stations covered that event for them, as well as a couple of daily papers. So, it's nice goodwill, and people will remember it after the fact. So, and in fact, I think they expect any of us who are still operating on any level to be giving back during all of this. So go ahead and don't feel like you're, taking advantage of it or shamelessly promoting yourself. But if you're giving back, do promote it because people want to know. And Kimberly has a really fun Building Communities challenge for us. You want to tell us about that, Kimberly?
Yeah, I think this is something that, and again, check with your local what your local regulations are. So there's one of two ways of doing this. So it's a contactless donation drive. And food drive. We know our food pantries are really hurting. So I encourage you to reach out to one of your local food pantries and find out how you can help. If they are taking actual donations of food or if it's just money. And if they are taking donations of food, you could put a bin out in your community and have, you run this drive for a select period of time, have somebody there, again, at an appropriate distance away so it's safe, so that people could just drive by and drop food into the bin. It's contactless. You could have some information about your community right there in a basket that they can just take that with them. Again, nobody touches anybody. We're all keeping a nice safe distance for that. And then that, all of anything that you collect during that drive, you could take that to that food pantry. You can go old school. You could put some snipe signs out within the community, those little directional signs that actually say you're going to hold this food drive at such and such time, your social media, press releases, getting this out on your website, e-blast out to all of your prospects and your clients, because of course those you've already built for within those communities, people are wanting to make an impact. So that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is to do all of those things, but then take one of your trucks, preferably one that has your logo on it, and go around in a community at a certain time and have people leave their stuff at their curb. So that you can collect from them. We actually have one of our local representatives that's one of our state representatives going around and doing this in her van with her logo and everything on it. And she was taking those food donations and donating them to Metropolitan Ministries, who's one of our local charities here. So, there's lots of ways that you can do this, but, as Carol said, get some PR for this. And, think of it this way. It's not that you're tooting your own horn so much as you're encouraging others and letting them know that they can do something and that they can get involved too. Because people right now, there's so much bad news coming our way. We certainly want to have some happy thoughts going out and to show that we are making a difference. And if you are, hashtag building communities when you put it on social so we can see it. So that would be fantastic. So moving on, now just very quickly, now is the time to plan your customer experience and what it's going to look like going out of it. You've got a few minutes. The universe gave you a take a beat moment. So go through your processes right now and look at every handoff that you make. Look at ways to incorporate video and set proper expectations with your customers. Because when you do that, you're going to come out of this so much stronger. And usually we're so busy running the business and putting out fires that we just don't have time to take advantage of things like this opportunity has given us. So again, these are the times where we have those handoffs. This is the customer experience funnel, what it looks like. We're out of time to go into too much detail on this one, but this can really help you come out of this thing so much stronger than you went into it. And that's where, I would like to send that message to you. And of course, if you have any questions on any of this, reach out to either one of us. Carol, do we have any questions in the chat that we need to address?
We actually do. Great ideas. Any ideas for new home builders who cannot give an exact date of when they can complete the house to try to keep the buyers?
Oh, I like that one. That one's good. So if it's a home that is already under construction, frequent communication with that buyer. I encourage you to reach out to them weekly. Make sure your sales team and your production team are reaching out to them. If you can do video calls so they can see your face, just let them know. Be very honest with them and say, hey, this week we were only able to get the plumber in. Next week we're going to be able to get the electrician back. Yes, I know there's that broken window. Here's the schedule for that. Just understand, because of these guidelines, this is all we're able to do right now. Hang in there. Hang in there. We're doing the best we can. We haven't forgotten you. If they're not under construction yet and they're a to be built and they want to build with you, but they're nervous about losing their job or their income, a peace of mind contingency is something that you might want to consider. And that would say that, we're not going to start your home, but we can start all of these processes up to the point. Maybe they go under contract, they give you a deposit, they have to apply with the mortgage company. They pick their structurals, they pick their home site, they pick their elevations, all of those things, and they maybe even get a virtual design center session. But if at any point during that 90 days, they were to lose their income because of COVID, then they would get that money back. So we don't really have any expenditures other than our salespeople's time at that point. And that's a good thing too, because again, salespeople get excited when they're selling homes. So they're going to do more of those. And then as soon as that customer releases that, we'll be that much further along in the process. So those are depending on which way you were asking. I'm not sure which way you were asking. So hopefully that gave you a couple of ideas. Any other questions, Carol?
We don't have any other ones. So
if anybody does, you're welcome to type them right now. And you're also, our contact information is up on the screen. Mm-hmm. So we are doing a recording of this that we will send out as well.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for your time today. You've been quite a quiet audience. So anyway, let us know if we can help you with anything else. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Mary. Thanks, guys.